How you doing, my son? Son? Cat got your tongue? Been a while?
Yes.
Want me to give you a hint?
No, I remember. Bless me, Father, for I've sinned.
Uh-huh. And how long has it been since your last confession?
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I was a kid.
Well, take it easy. It's like riding a bike. Son, the day is rolling by and I have company coming for lunch. Actually, my company's bringing lunch.
Father, I may have committed a terrible sin.
What's your sin, my son?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. What the hell? I don't have anything else to lose. How far are you going? Well, I know which way, but how far are you going? Can you read lips? How far? Waterville? Well, I guess you tap me on the shoulder when we get where you're going. Of course you will, assuming we even have a destination in mind. Pretty much cut off, aren't you? Yeah, I know. Totally cut off. Phone lines down. You know, sometimes I wish I were you and you were me. Well, sometimes. Mind some music? Got AC/DC, Debussy, Rush Limbaugh. It's all the same to you, I suppose. Hey, I hope you don't mind some senior discount. It's a present I got from my daughter. It's not much of a present now that I've opened it. Could always get her another one, I suppose. I don't get very many stations out here, so it's pretty much all I got. Deaf, right? Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now. I'm sorry this is taking so long. I'd speed it up if I knew how, but I don't.
That's all right, son. I'm interested now.
What about your company? Won't they...
We'll wait while I'm doing the Lord's work. Son, did this man rob you?
Well, no. Not unless you count my peace of mind. Well, does that count?
Most assuredly. What did he do?
Well, nothing. He looked out the window and... Well, I thought he was dozing, but later I had reason to believe that I was wrong about that.
What did you do?
I talked about my wife. No, I didn't. I vented about my wife. I ranted about my wife. I spewed about my wife. You see, he was a deaf mute. Don't you see? I could say anything and not have to listen to him make any analysis or give an opinion or offer me sage advice. He was deaf. He was a mute. Hell, I thought he was probably asleep and I could say any fucking thing I wanted to. Sorry, Father.
What exactly did you say about her?
I told him she was 44. That was how I started. Because that was the part. You know? Just the part that I couldn't swallow. Well, I'm married. I'm 45, my wife's 44. 44 years old. Barbara is 44. Been married for 16 years. Got one kid, daughter, beautiful daughter. Kelsey Ann. She goes to school up in Cleveland. I don't know how I'm going to afford to keep her there. It's 2 weeks ago, my wife turns into Mount St. Helens. Turns out she's got a boyfriend. Has had a boyfriend for 2 years. He's a teacher. Of course she's a teacher. What else would it be? She calls him Cowboy Bob. Turns out a lot of those nights I thought she was out at the co-op extension or book circle. She's down drinking tequila shooters and line dancing with Cowboy fucking Bob. Sitcom shit, if there ever was sitcom shit. She's 44. 44. Which means she started up with this guy when she was 42. This guy's real name, by the way, is Robert Yandowski. That's a cowboy name if I ever heard one. 42. Wouldn't you say that's old enough to know better, my friend? I mean, old enough to have sown your wild oats and then ripped them up and planted something more useful. My God. She wears bifocals. She's had her gallbladder out. Now she's boffing this guy at the fucking Grove Motel where the two of them have set up housekeeping. Okay? Look, I bought her a nice house in Buxton. She's got a 2-car garage, an Audi on a long lease. And she threw it all away to get drunk on Thursday night at Range Riders and then shag this guy until the dawn's early light, or however long they can manage. She's 44, not to mention Cowboy Bob, who's fucking 60. Hey! You awake? Can you hear me? No? Fuck it then. Barb spilled everything. She wasn't even defiant. Not even a little bit. Shell-shocked, maybe. Or maybe living in a fantasy world, I don't know. Said the whole thing was partly my fault. I'm on the road a lot. That much is true. Okay, over 300 days last year she was on her own. We only had the one chick, you know, the one that finished up high school and flown the coop. So it was my fault. Cowboy Bob and all the rest of it. I could have said these things in an empty car. It wouldn't have been the same. Do you understand, Father?
Of course I do. Even though you've clearly fallen away from Mother Church, Except for a few superstitious remnants like your St. Christopher's medal, you shouldn't even have to ask. Confession is good for the soul. We've known that for 2,000 years. Son, what else did she do, your wife? Besides sinning with Cowboy Bob.
Well, there was the underwear. She bought underwear. She showed me. It was in the guest room closet. It damn near filled the guest room closet. Look at all these panties.
Cowboy Bob is panty man.
Of course, he's a panty man. He grew up jerking off the Playboy. He's fucking 60. And why'd you buy so goddamn many? There must be 1,000 in there.
I don't know. We just got in the habit. It's kind of like foreplay, I guess you could say.
And stilettos, too? Well, you really got this hot babe thing down pat, don't you, Barb? Well, I imagine you taking off your bifocals right before you put on your latest Wonder Bra and your tap pants. Not ashamed, not defiant. Like she was thinking, this is all just some dream that I'll wake up from soon. And the two of us, standing there in front of this pile of slips and skivvies and stilettos and God knows what else in the back. And then I ask where she got the money. I mean, I see the credit card slips at the end of every month. And it's not like there's any in there from Sweets of Boston. And that's where we get to the real problem, which was embezzlement.
Embezzlement?
She worked for MSAD 19. MSAD stands for Main School Administrative District. It's one of the big ones, just south of Portland, based in Dowry. As a matter of fact, home of both Range Riders, the line dancing joint, and the historic Grove Motel just down the road from there. Convenient. Get your dancing and lovemaking all in the same area. I mean, why would you even drive your car if you happen to have a snoot full, right? Which on most evenings they did have. Tequila shooters for her and whiskey for him. Jack, naturally. She told me everything.
Was she a teacher?
No. Teachers don't have access to that kind of money. She never could have embezzled over $120,000 if she'd been a teacher. We've had the district superintendent and his wife over to the house for dinner, and of course, I saw him at all the end of school year picnics, usually at the Dowry Country Club. Victor McCrae, University of Maine graduate. Played football, majored in phys ed, crew cut, probably floated through on gift C's, but a nice guy. The kind who knows 50 different guy walks into a bar jokes. In charge of a dozen schools, from the 5 elementaries to Muskie High, and a very large annual budget. He might be able to add 4 and 4 on his own in a pinch, but Barb was his executive secretary for 12 years. And Barb had the checkbook. Are you awake, buddy? Take that as a yes. So where was I? Oh yeah, underwear. How much? Holy Christ. Sorry, Father. Are you lying? Of course not. This is crazy. So crazy. Look, how much is left?
Nothing, really.
Barb, we're fucked.
But I suppose I could get more for a little while at least. But they're gonna find out soon now. If it was just old, clueless Vic, I could get away with it forever. But the state auditors were here last week, and they asked too many questions and took copies of the records. It won't be long now.
How could you spend over $100,000 on knickers and garter belts?
Well, we got into the lottery. I suppose we thought we could earn it back that way.
I considered jerking the wheel to the right, just ending it all right then and there. But I thought better of it, partly because of that ancient childhood prohibition against suicide, but mostly because I wanted to listen to that Senior Discount album at least one more time before I died. Also, I was no longer alone. You know, they must have bought more lottery tickets than anybody else in history. Well, probably not. But they bought 10,000 for sure. She said last November, I was in Massachusetts and Delaware almost that whole month. And then New Hampshire for the sales conference. She said they bought 2,000. Powerball, Megabucks, Pick 3, Paycheck, Pick 4, Triple Play, you name it, they hit them all. She said at first they were picking their numbers, but then it started taking too long, so they went with the easy pick option. Because when there's people standing in line behind you, and you take too long to pick your own numbers, they get pissy, especially when the jackpot's over 100 million. And then her and Yandowski, they split up and hit different stores in the same night, as many as 24. Believe it or not, they sold the tickets right there in the very place where they go line dance.
The first time Bob played, we won $500 on a pick 3. It was so romantic. After that, the romance stayed, but the winning pretty much stopped. We won $1,000, but by then we were already $30,000 in the bucket.
In the bucket is what she called it. So back in January, I was out on the road trying to earn the price back that I paid for this cashmere jacket that I bought her for Christmas. And they went up and spent a couple of days in Derry. I don't know if they got line dancing up there or not, I never checked. Anyways, they got this place called the Hollywood Slots. They stayed in the suite, ate high off the hog. And she actually said high off the hog. And they dropped $7,500 playing video poker. And she said they didn't like that very much. Well, they mostly just stuck with the lottery. Plugging in more and more of the SAD's money before the state auditors came through and the whole roof fell in. Meanwhile, she'd buy a new pair of underwear now and again. You know, a girl's got to be fresh when she's buying Powerball ticks down at the local 7-Eleven. Hey buddy, you okay? Just checking. If it had just been the lingerie and playing the kind of lottery games that you just pick a bunch of numbers, the damage might have been limited. Because playing the lottery that way gives you time to come to your senses. Presuming, that is, you have any senses to come to. You know, you have to stand in line, collect the slips, save them in your wallet. Then you have to watch the TV, check the news for the results, or even the paper. It might still be okay. Not for Barb. No way. For Kelsey Ann, a young kid starting out, fresh in life, she doesn't need a stinking fish like that hanging around her neck. Restitution is what they call it. I mean, I could have made restitution even if it meant living in a 2-bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? But there are quicker ways to chuck your money. It's as legal as buying underwear.
They moved on to the scratch tickets, didn't they? What the Lottery Commission calls instant winners.
You sound like a man who's had a flutter himself.
From time to time. I always tell myself that if I should ever get a real golden ticket, I'd put all the money into the church. But I never risk more than $5 a week. Sometimes 10. And once I bought a $20 scratch back when they were new. But that was a momentary madness. I never did that again.
At least not so far.
The words of a man who has truly had his fingers burned, son. I'm fascinated by your story, but I wonder if we could move it along a little bit faster. My company will wait while I do the Lord's work, but not forever. And I believe we're having chicken salad, heavy on the mayo. Favorite of mine.
And there's not much more. If you played, you got the gist of it. You can buy the scratch tickets at all the same places you can buy the Powerball and Megabucks tickets, but you can also buy them at a lot of other places, including turnpike rest stops. You don't even need to do business with a clerk. You can get them from a machine. And the machines are always green, the color of money. By the time Barb came clean...
By the time she confessed?
Yes. By the time she confessed, they'd pretty much settled on the $20 scratch-offs. Barb said she never bought any when she was on her own, but when she was with Cowboy Bob, they'd buy a lot, hoping for that big score, you know. Once she said they bought 100 of those puppies in a single night. That's $2,000 worth. They got back 80. They each had their own little plastic ticket scratcher. They look like little snow scrapers for elves and have Maine State Lottery written on the handle. They're green, like the vending machines that sell the tickets. She showed me hers. It was under the guest bedroom bed. You couldn't make out anything except Terry on it. Could have been mystery instead of lottery. I guess the sweat from her palm wiped out all the rest.
Son, did you strike her? Is that why you're here?
No. I wanted to kill her for it. The money, not the cheating. The cheating part just seemed unreal. Even with all that underwear right in front of my eyes. But I didn't lay so much as a finger on her. I think it was because I was too tired. With all that information, it just tired me out. What I really wanted to do was take a nap. A long one. Maybe a couple of days long. Was that strange?
No.
I asked her how she could do something like that to me, and did she care so little? And she asked, how come I didn't know? And before I could say anything, she answered herself. It was, a rhetorical question.
You didn't know because you didn't care. You were almost always out on the road, and when you weren't on the road, you wanted to be on the road. It's been 10 years since you cared what underwear I had on. And why would you, when you don't care about the woman inside of it? But you care now, don't you? You do now.
Man, I just looked at her, and I was mad. And even through the shock, I was mad. She was trying to make it my fault. You see that, don't you? Was she trying to blame it all on my fucking job? Like I could get you another one that even paid half as much. I mean, at my age, what am I even qualified for? Get a job as a school crossing guard. That's about it. I don't have any moral busts in my past. But even that wasn't the real point. You want to know the point? Her point? She wanted me to feel guilty about actually liking my job. Not drudging through my days until I found the right person to go absolutely fucking bombers with. I didn't want to get into it with her. I refused to get into it with her. Because I knew that if we started to argue, if we really started to get into it, that anything might happen. And I wanted to get out of there while I was still in shock. See, because that was protecting her. See? What are you going to do?
I suppose I'll go to jail.
Now, when I came back, there was a note saying that she had moved out. That was 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen her since. Talked to her on the phone a couple of times. That's about it. Talked to a lawyer. Froze all her accounts. Not going to do a lot of good once the legal wheels start turning. And then, Kaka is going to clog the air cooling system. Catch my meaning. Guess then I'll see her again in court. Her and Cowboy fucking Bob. Ah, shit. Waterville's 15 miles back that way, partner. You know, it's true that I haven't felt anything for her in a long time. Sometimes love runs out. You know, and I haven't been entirely faithful either. I've taken to a little road comfort here and there. But does that warrant this? Does that justify a woman blowing up her life? Like a kid with a rotten apple and a firecracker? Where are you going? You're basically just rambling, aren't you? Yeah. Look, you listen to my story even though you didn't know you were listening to it. So I'll get you as far as Derry. How's that? In fact, I can get you to the Derry shelter, okay? You get a hot and a cot, at least for one night. Look, I gotta take a piss, okay? No, a piss. Do you have to take a piss? A leak? Oh, never mind. I'm gonna go take a piss. Well, I hope it brings you better luck than it brought me.
And then?
2 days later, the Maine State Police called me up. My wife and Bob Yandowski had been beaten to death in the Grove Motel. The killer had used a piece of pipe wrapped in a motel towel.
My dear God.
That's pretty much what I thought.
Your daughter?
She's with me at home. Heartbroken, of course, but we'll get through this, Father. She's tougher than I thought. And of course, she doesn't know about the embezzlement. With luck, she never will. It's going to be a very large insurance payment, what they call double indemnity. Given everything that went on before, I think I would be in moderate to serious trouble with the police now if I didn't have a cast iron alibi. And if there hadn't been development, as it is, I've been questioned several times.
Son, you didn't pay someone to...
I've been accused of that too. And the answer's no. Like, I throw my bank accounts open to anyone who wants to look. Every penny's accounted for, both in my half of the wedded partnership and in Barb's. Like, she was financially very responsible, at least in the sane part of her life. But Father, can you open up? I want to show you something.
And this was returned to you when? Was it at the motel where they were killed?
No, not the motel.
Dear God.
I mean, he could have gotten the address from my car registration when I was in the John.
And of course you mentioned the name of the motel and the town.
Dowry?
Dear God. This fellow wasn't deaf-mute at all, was he?
Almost positive he was mute, but he sure wasn't deaf. There was a note beside the metal on a piece of paper he tore off a phone pad. All this must have happened while my daughter and I were at the funeral home picking out a casket. The back door was open, but not jimmied, and he might have been smart enough to trick the lock, but I think we just forgot and left it open while we were out.
The note said what?
Thank you for the ride.
I'll be damned. Have you told the police?
Yes, of course, the whole story. They think they know who the guy is, and they're familiar with his sign. His name is Stanley Doucette. He spent years rambling around New England with that sign of his. Sort of like me, now that I think of it.
Prior crimes of violence on his record?
A few. Fights, mostly. Once he beat a man pretty badly in a bar, and he's been in and out of mental institutions, including Serenity Hill and Augusta. But I don't think the police told me everything.
Do you want to know everything?
No.
They haven't caught this fella?
They say it's only a matter of time. They say he's not too bright. But he was bright enough to fool me.
Did he fool you, son? Or did you know you were speaking to a listening ear? Seems to me that is the key question.
I did not.
And are you glad your wife and her lover are dead?
Yes! I'm relieved. I'm sorry to say that, Father, but considering the mess she made and how it's apt to work out with no trial and a quiet restitution made out of the insurance money, I am relieved. Is that a sin?
Yes, my son. Sorry to break the news, but it is.
Can you give me absolution, Father?
10 Our Fathers, 10 Hail Marys. The Our Fathers are for your lack of charity, a serious sin, but not mortal.
And the Hail Marys?
Foul language in the confessional. At some point, the adultery issue, yours, not hers, needs to be addressed. But now I need to get to my...
You have a lunch date. I understand.
In truth, I've lost my appetite for lunch, although I should certainly greet my company. The main thing is, I think I'm a little too overwhelmed to go into your so-called road comfort just now.
I understand.
Good. Now, son,
Yes?
not to belabor the point, but are you sure you didn't give this man permission or encourage him in any way? Because then I think we'd be talking mortal sin instead of venial. Have to check with my own spiritual advisor to make sure, but...
No, Father. But do you think it's possible that God put this guy in my car?
Yes! That's blasphemy. Good for 10 more Our Fathers. I don't know how long you've been outside the doors, but even you should know better. Now, do you want to say something else and try more Hail Marys, or are we done here?
We're done, Father.
Then you're shriven, as we say in the trade. Go your way and sin no more. And take care of your daughter, son. Children only have one mother, no matter how she may have behaved.
Yes, Father.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yes?
You say the police think they'll catch this man?
They told me it's only a matter of time.
So my question is, do you want the police to catch this man?
Of course I do. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb. Jesus, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of death. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
I've never been so sick, so tired, so beaten, hopeless, cornered, desperate and alone. I'm ready to say, hey God, let's call it quits. I guess this one just didn't work out. They can't all be gems, and I'll never be the diamond that I thought I'd be. You've all disappointed me so much. What's the point? No one job anymore. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Take a good look around. Whoa, 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 whoa. Just take a good look around.